This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. A busy couple of hours for the police following yet another homicide. The victim was reportedly standing outside a home on Gambell Heights just before 3 p.m. yesterday when the occupants of a gray vehicle pulled up, opened fire, wounding the man before speeding off. The injured man was taken to hospital where he died soon after. 4 hours later, and police were alerted to a shooting on 3rd Street, Coconut Grove. As the story goes, a group of men were standing on 3rd Street when a white vehicle appeared. A man reportedly exited the rear of the car and opened fire. One man was injured in the process. He is in stable condition. The Lynden Pindling International Airport temporarily closed after a Pineapple Air aircraft crashed on the runway. Police say it was shortly after 9 a.m. that they were alerted that a plane had stopped on the airport's main runway. The aircraft was reportedly about to land when the nose wheel and 2 main landing gears collapsed. The plane was inbound from Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera, with 9 passengers. No one was injured. The matter is being investigated by the Civil Aviation Department. Autopsies on hurricane victims are pretty much complete, but identifying the dead has proven quite a challenge. Officials are considering making a public announcement for family members to come forward.
As we have refined the missing persons list, then it is assumed that perhaps some of the people on the missing persons list may be among the dead, but then perhaps not. Then what we'd like to be able to do is to say this is the process, to provide information. Where was the person last seen? What were they wearing? Do they have any identifying characteristics? Do they wear braces? Do they have tattoos? Have they had surgery? Do they have any scars? Have they had an amputation? So on and so forth. Obviously, are they Caucasian? Are they Negroid? Are they, mixed? Whatever. They have short hair, long hair. All of these things are helpful.
And according to Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands, as that information is narrowed down, it's compared to what's in the database and subsequently get tissue and DNA samples.
At some point in time, once it's agreed and the public consultative process has been completed, then based on international best standards, the plan would be to place in a respectful way the remains in a burial site where they can be retrieved if the identification process takes place subsequent to burial.
Police have confirmed the deaths of 61 people. According to Dr. Sands, while dead bodies can be kept indefinitely once they are frozen, this is not the ideal situation. Education officials are considering adjusting the school calendar year to make up for lost classroom time following Dorian. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd says this may include shortening the time of usual breaks.
For instance, there's a 10 or so day break during Easter time. That is likely to be short, number one. There are a number of other non-instructional days in the school's calendar year, Mr. Speaker, that we are considering eliminating. For instance, teacher professional days or midterms and so on, in order for us to make up. Because in the ministry, it's a little more difficult to deal with the Christmas break, only because we have the New Year's and the Christmas time, and we come as close to Christmas in our break as is possible.
Now, as set up, students must complete 180 days of what's called contact curriculum, which the minister says excludes fun days and sports days. Some of these days then may be eliminated. At its peak, 150 displaced students were registered per day for a total of 1,400. Of that figure, 1,200 have been given placement letters for schools in New Providence. The remainder are still being processed. The biggest challenge was on the health side.
Many of these students could not produce immunization records, so we had to take the precaution of ensuring that they were immunized and therefore having to do it a second time.
Now, some Abaco and Grand Bahama students have opted to go to Spanish Wells, Harbor Island, and Andros, while others have left the Bahamas for the United States to live with family members or in shelters. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.